I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I have been meaning to talk about this for the past few days, ever since last week when it was announced that Uncle from Another World would be getting basically delayed indefinitely. And so let's talk about that. Let's talk about, just everything going on, what we know so far, etc. and kind of get everybody up to speed on what is going on here. So, Uncle from Another World, just in case you have no idea what it is, its Japanese title is Asekai Ojisan, and it's a series that I've talked about consistently. Basically, I'll show some pictures of it. I've made many videos of this. I love this series. It's fantastic. It is easily one of my favorite anime from this anime season, and anyone that has definitely sat down and has watched this said series probably will agree with me that Uncle from Another World is just straight up fantastic. And one of the biggest issues that it's obviously been trying to overcome, and I've discussed consistently for months now, is that it's locked in Netflix jail. Basically, you know how Netflix likes to have everything in bulk, and then eventually they will release them on their platform after many episodes come out. Basically, that's kind of the overall situation with Uncle from Another World. However, Netflix has tried to give episodes a little bit earlier, even in North America, but it's still not the same day delivery as other places around the world, so it's still very behind the times of, let's say, something like Crunchyroll. But obviously, that is not the main issue that I want to discuss today. I want to talk about this comment that a Japanese animator made, got a little bit more about people kind of clarifying the situation, basically a little bit of an article talking about it, and just get a whole understanding of who's talking about it and what's actually going on here. So basically, Uncle from Another World, after episode 7 that came out last week, episode 8 has been delayed. And in its place, as you can see from this post, September 7th, which is tomorrow, the episode 3 is going to be re-aired in Japan, and then episode 4 for the next week, episode 5 for the week after that, so on, as you can see. So basically, at least for the next 4 weeks, Uncle from Another World has been delayed, and that it's going to be re-airing earlier episodes from the series, starting from, let's say, episode 3 to episode 6, and obviously the overall time from this could easily extend even further as more of these, potential delays keep happening. And let's talk about that. Why is the delays happening for Uncle from Another World? Well, I made a video on this about a week or a few weeks back, actually, almost a month ago, talking about how Uncle from Another World, after like episode 4 or whatever, it was delayed thanks to COVID-19 related issues. This was something that was said in an article, it's a video I made, and many people have talked about it, so you probably did understand that the series was delayed at least for like in a solid month, like 2 to 3 weeks before we had a new episode because of COVID-related reasons. And at the time, that's what we all assumed. It's like, okay, yeah, we all know that a lot of companies are facing those issues, Japan, etc. It's definitely not something that we could say isn't possible. So it's like, okay, that's sad, and hopefully that, the animators, everyone that's working over there, get the proper rest and recovery they need. Because at the end of the day, anime doesn't matter as much as someone's health and life. Their life is so much more important. So it's good that they got some time to rest and take a break, because being an animator is definitely hard work. It's a hard job. I couldn't imagine dealing with the delays and all sorts of other issues that come with being an animator. So when we got that news, it's like, okay, we'll wait. All of us, I think, collectively agreed we'll wait for the episodes to come out, and yeah, that'll be about it. Well, we fast forward to, a few days ago. Basically, the exact same thing happened again, and I'll pull up the article here that, is from Anime News Network that kind of clarifies. Uncle from Another World anime delayed episode 8 indefinitely due to COVID-19. Now, basically, as you can see here, it reruns episode 3 through 6 through September, and it basically is the exact same jargon that we got, about a month ago. Now, here's the thing. At first glance, you'd be like, okay, still COVID-19 related? Fine. People need to, take a break, recover, etc. But then we have individuals kind of clarify what's actually going on here. So let's get into this post from a really well-known animator, actually. This animator in general, you might recognize him. I've made a video talking about this animator, and I'm following him for a reason, because actually this is the person that kind of talked about and opened up about being underpaid by Studio Mappa / Netflix. It's all those different videos I made about, animators coming out and basically saying it's like a sweatshop. This is the person that kind of really came out and started talking about that, of the horrible conditions that, this individual faced while working on said anime with Studio Mappa. So, yeah, this is quite the individual. But basically, this is someone that's very outspoken about issues within the industry. So we go to the post that he made about Uncle from Another World. This individual was apparently going to be actually working on it. Now, obviously, this is Google Translate, so there could be some inaccuracies here. So if you can read Japanese, do correct me where I am wrong. I was planning to direct the 10th episode of Asekai Ojisan, but it was decided not to do it because the animation staff was still 0 before the 7th episode aired. It's very disappointing. It seems that only in-house staff will proceed. I participate in storyboarding and dubbing. I told the person I introduced not to treat them carelessly until the last episode. So basically, to kind of make this a little bit more coherent and understandable, this individual here was supposedly going to be working and, deciding, as he said, storyboarding, dubbing, etc. And he was going to direct the 10th episode of Asekai Ojisan. It was a big role. So, for episode 10, which, FYI, the episode that was delayed indefinitely was episode 8. So, technically 3 episodes later. And from what you can understand here, even at episode 7, there was 0 animation staff, as he's saying here. And basically everything is only in-house at the moment. Basically saying that the studio, which here is the studio, this really new studio, as you can see. They haven't really worked on much, and I don't know really much about their pedigree or history. They're a really small studio. They don't have a lot really behind them. And apparently this studio is doing all in-house animation, which is not something many animation studios do. Almost every single animation studio in the industry gets help from other studios, etc. Mappa gets help, and even KyoAni, which does a lot of their stuff in-house, they even get help sometimes. And so the point I'm trying to make is that the fact that they're kind of doing only in-house at the moment kind of says that there's poor planning and poor structuring for the scheduling of the anime being animated. And then when you have this is a little bit more damning. Basically, a director who left the production at the very last moment rightfully blamed their complete inability to provide any external staff members to get their episode made. Then the public excuse is the spread of a disease that would be an internal issue in a production / studio. So basically, to kind of explain this a little bit more, if it really was a COVID-19 related issue, basically, the in-house would probably not be able to animate, because they would be the ones technically sick. But obviously, they're the ones working on it, and you have a director that was supposed to work on it, says that there's 0 staff to really help or whatever, so it's what's going on here? Now, this could be a mix of things. It could definitely be COVID-related issues, but it seems like the more and more you dive deeper into this, there's discrepancies that basically indicate that the overall production committee and the studio is using the excuse of COVID to be able to say oh yeah, we just have poor planning, we have poor production problems, etc. And that's how they're kind of excusing the underlying issues that is going on with Uncle from Another World. So it's very interesting, honestly. Basically, as you can see, this individual is it's a PR shield, and I agree. Honestly, I do. But, yeah, so it's a nasty situation. It's a legitimately nasty situation for Uncle from Another World, because at this point, with how many weeks this has been delayed, I'm gonna talk hard facts, okay? Let's talk hard facts about this series, okay? It's been delayed here, as you can see, till, once again, September 28th, basically, is gonna be delayed. So around next month, we should, if everything works out, get episode 8. Okay, now, let's look at Uncle from Another World. Apparently, this series is, from my understanding, how many episodes this is gonna have. I don't think it actually says how many episodes. Let's see, broadcasting, premiered. It does not say how many episodes the series is gonna have. So we don't know if this is gonna be a 24-episode series, a 12-episode series. I don't think we actually have that information. So basically, if we're going by what's happened in the past, we go by history. And what happened, let's say, with 86? Like, FYI, if you guys don't remember 86, like, I'll pull it up. 86 anime. This is the series I'm talking about. Very beautiful series. I also talked about this a lot. Big fan of it. And it was delayed for months because of certain underlying production issues I talked about consistently. And to kind of get into the main point of what makes this relevant to Uncle from Another World, this series was delayed a lot. And because of how many delays it got, the anime's, like, second half, basically, or the last episodes of the second half, was delayed for so long because of just how many delays they had. Like, to kind of explain this, when they release an episode in Japan, they're broadcasting it on TV. They have to buy a broadcasting time slot. Basically cable. They have to buy, let's say if something airs at 9:30, it has to air at 9:30 because they spent money for it to air at that time. They bought that TV bracket for it to air. And so if the series gets delayed, that means that bracket's kind of a waste of money. And so the rebroadcasting of an episode is just to be able to use that broadcasting slot. Basically what they're doing with episode 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so they're using 4 episode slots for previous episodes. That means that they would have to buy 4 new broadcasting slots to be able to actually show Uncle from Another World. So if it keeps getting more and more delayed, eventually they're going to run out of slots to be able to broadcast that episode. And what I mean is that obviously there's always anime coming out, and the next season is literally happening next month. So because of that, and how packed it's going to be, if Uncle from Another World keeps having these delays, we are probably not going to get more episodes for a good long while if it has another delay like what we just got. That is food for thought that does need to be discussed. So yeah, only the future will let us know exactly what direction Uncle from Another World will get, but like I said, it's not good. It's not good, and it's sad, because this is legit. This is a good series. I would say an 8 out of 10 so far. It's good. It's really good. But obviously, with these issues, this is going to kill a lot of hype. It's going to kill a lot of people wanting to even start this series or even continue watching it, because obviously, when October rolls around, and I'm going to keep it real, Uncle from Another World is just, it's not going to be able to compete. Like, obviously, there's going to be those that are still around that want to watch this said series, but when you have stuff like Chainsaw Man, Bleach, and, you have Mob Psycho, it's going to just kill this series in terms of discussion, and the discussion was already low to begin with because of Netflix Gel. It's a poor situation. So I just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention to kind of explain why there won't be an episode tomorrow, but also what's going to be going on for the next few weeks. But I'll leave it at that. If I brought you any form of new information or insight, etc., please do leave me a like. It does help me out a lot, and I would greatly appreciate it. But with that, be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.